What do you and Oprah have in common? Y'all both like to yap. And the only difference between you and Oprah right now is that Oprah's already massively monetized her voice. And perhaps you're just getting started or you're just a few years into the game. Getting paid to yap, y'all, is really the flex in 2025 and beyond. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly why you should be getting paid to yap and talk and exactly how you can do it moving forward so that you are no longer chained to a 9 to 5 or a job that you hate or a career path that your parents had for you before you were even born. Okay. So my name is Letice Hudson. I've been making YouTube videos for a really long time. But more importantly, I've made over $2 million online, essentially yapping, right? Selling my own offers, courses, and digital products and sharing what was in my brain and packaging it out into the world and selling it for profit. So that's what I do. So here's the thing, y'all. Like when I think about getting paid to yap, it is really as simple as getting paid to yap. Think about your favorite influencers, your favorite bloggers, the people that you turn on your phone often or every single day. What are they doing? They're sharing their voice, they're sharing their story, they're sharing what they're learning, and they're just sharing all the things that make them them. Now, there's going to be different segments of what this actually looks like, but when I think about famous talk show hosts like Ellen and Oprah and David Letterman, like they really just monetized off of their voice and they were really an aggregator of information. So it's not necessarily that they always had original ideas. They were just able to combine people in one room and create a brand voice and aesthetic and, awareness to be able to basically divulge information to the public. And they just had a really good personality for it. So here's the thing, you may not be a talk show host, and that's okay. But there are so many other ways that you can really get paid to yap. And I'm going to break down those ways right now. The first thing I need you guys to understand, though, is you got to get into this mindset of understanding that you can share your voice regardless, no matter how big or small you think your voice deserves to be heard. We all have a story, we all have a past, we all have some sort of expertise, some sort of skill that we may on a day-to-day basis not think that anybody else cares to learn, but there are so many people that are behind you that are looking for your insight, your expertise, and your ideas. One of the biggest ways that you can really get paid to yap is really understanding the idea of, how can you educate the people around you? Okay. So maybe you're not like, there's a couple of different ways, right? We could talk about education. We're going to talk about being an aggregator of information, kind of like a talk show host. And then we're also talking about like doing both, like building like a media company. So when we think about education, I think about really in the lane of speaking. I think about mentorship. I think about coaching. And here's the thing, and here's the gag. What I need you guys to understand is that there is somebody 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 steps behind you that, for example, right, like you've had a really healthy relationship for 20 plus years, you've been married, you've been happily married, your friends, your family are always asking you how you did that, what's your advice, things like that. And if you feel really A, in integrity, but B, feel really compelled and convicted to be able to share that story, people will pay you to educate. People will pay you to speak on panels. They will pay you to speak in Facebook groups. They'll pay you to get on their podcast. Like they really will, right? Now, most podcasts are free, but even being an aggregator or being an educator, I'm sorry, like you can educate on your own platform. Because here's the thing, like back in when Oprah and David Letterman and Ellen were all like kind of building up, they had to use really mass media markets. And thankfully, now we don't like this is our mass media market, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Like the whole world is literally at our fingertips. So what you need to understand is that like if you don't gap now, like you are going to get left behind because there is like we are our ancestors' wildest dreams. There is nowhere else like in the history that you could truly just get paid for being you in your own home. And you don't have to go to a coffee shop. You don't have to go pitch yourself to a bunch of brands if you don't want to. You can literally start a podcast for literally free 99. Like you don't need much. You can use your iPhone to record and you can use some like Libsyn. I think they have a free package. Like you literally in Canva for free, clip art, right? Like you literally can get started yapping for free. YouTube the same. So what I need you guys to understand is that whatever is in your brain, whatever you're good at, whatever you get asked for advice for, whatever makes you like so compelled to share your story, that's where I would start. And I think that we could talk about niching all day. And I'm a big fan of niching because niching allows you to call in it really allows you to call in your people because at the end of the day, you want to be seen as a specialist, not a generalist. But over time, as you build that brand, as you're yapping more, as you're using platforms that are currently free for you, you will be able to expand past just that niche that you're in. So my recommendation is always like, look at what do you enjoy doing? What do you already do? Turn the camera on, right? Turn the mic on. Just start showing behind the scenes of your life. If you work a 9 to 5 and you love your 9 to 5, share that. If you have a really happy relationship with your partner, talk, obviously, talk to your partner about that, but share more about that. Share about your first date, your love story, share about how you met, share about like hardships that you've been through. People just want to feel connected. Okay. So that's the first thing. You can educate from your own story and your expertise, and people will start to listen. One of the things I do need to make a note of though is that you can't come out the gate thinking that the day one that you start yapping, you're going to monetize. I think it's important that you have a plan to monetize. I think you need to understand how humans work, and at the forefront, like be so unapologetic in sharing your story and so about it that can't nobody tell you nothing. Okay. So when we think about mentorship, speaking, coaching, those are really, really great ways to share your story. And a big part of that is just turning on the camera, turning on the mic of things that you are already doing, right? When I launched my YouTube channel back my first time doing YouTube, well, really my second time, because I did it before and I was documenting a health journey the first time. But the second time, I was really documenting my tarot journey. And a lot of you guys are still here for my tarot journey. And that was really profound because I was just a little old me, right? At the time, little old me, but big old me now. I was just sharing my story. I was just sharing what I was learning. I was sharing what was working, what wasn't. I was truly just turning on the camera and documenting it. And it didn't have to be perfect. It wasn't aesthetically pleasing necessarily, but it was me. It was real. It was raw. And I sold out my first course doing that way. Okay. So there's that. You can be an educator, an online educator, because more than ever, like with economic downturns and recessions, people want to have knowledge and expertise, and they want to feel part of something bigger than themselves. This is why influencers are who they are, right? And I kind of, I'm in that bucket. I call myself a content creator now as well, a media company. And, I distribute business media, I distribute lifestyle media, I distribute Austin media now that I live here. So education is key. Second thing, when we think about really being a yapper and how you can monetize and get paid by yapping, is really being an aggregator of information. So what does that mean? That really is like taking media at a larger scale. So think about like theme pages or quote pages. Also think about like newsletters, right? Like being an aggregator of information. I think about, and I don't watch the Shade Room, but Shade Room doesn't really have any original content. They're an aggregate of information, which means they're combining information that they find and distributing it, right? So you're really like a media distribution company at that point. So the best way to do that, right? I obviously don't recommend like violating copyrights, but one of the things that, like, for example, what I'm doing in my life and in my second business I just launched is really aggregating information specifically for Austin's in like the Hill Country area where I live. And I'm running paid ads to that. And I have a newsletter and I'm just getting out the information. It's not like completely original content. I'm just saying, hey, here's your one-stop shop to stay in the loop and get the scoop of what's happening in Austin, and get a weekly dose of all the great things that are going on in Austin. Because when I moved here, it was like so overwhelming trying to sift through all the Instagrams and the influencers. And I was like, now, been here for 2 years, I'm like, what if I just put all the best things to do in Austin in one spot, specifically for women? Like, that's game for me. So that's me using my voice, right? Because I'm a natural connector and using my voice in a different way to aggregate information and get it out to the public. So that's another way that you can get paid to yap. Newsletters can sell you guys for 7, 6, 7, multiple 7, even 8, 9 figures. Like there's been newsletter companies that have sold for so much. Think about like a newspaper, right? And now that's what you are in a newsletter. It's just digital. So you could start a local newsletter. And I'm going to be talking way more about local newsletters specifically because there's such a low barrier to entry. And if you live like we all live in an area, you could start with where you live. So yeah, that's going to be another really, really powerful way to get paid to yap. The final way really is going to be like a blend of doing both. So when I think about that, that really looks like, and that's kind of really what I am, is I started off really heavily educating, being a mentor, being a coach, being a consultant, and now I'm doing more of the media company piece. So it's really doing both. So it's also getting paid to monetize your expertise without you having to, like live deliver it every single time. So that looks like selling specifically courses, digital products, memberships, things like that. So that's really the combination of the three things, right? And I think once you pick one to start with, and I'm like, if you're more introverted naturally, maybe number two is better for you. But if you love to educate and you have an expertise and a passion, maybe number one. But regardless, like people are literally, you guys, and like I need you to understand people are literally making millions off of using their ideas in their brain or aggregating information or doing both. And they're literally like they're literally creating generational wealth that their ancestors could have only dreamed of. So if you take anything away from this video, I need you to understand that you can get paid to just simply exist. You can get paid to use your voice, right? And I think about entertainers, they're used like Beyonce's my favorite, right? Like I think about Beyonce's like she's done what the world has told her she couldn't do. She's used her voice. So at the end of the day, you are not too late. You are not in last place and you have a story. And it just takes one. It takes one story. I think about Tabitha Brown specifically too. Like she got on that camera. I know her story because she shares it often in her car driving Uber and ate that whole food sandwich. And that's what launched her career. And she had been sharing content, but that one video popped off and then she had a brand deal with Whole Foods and the rest of her life changed forever. So if you're watching this video, you know that you have a story, you have a voice, that you know that there's some gift or skill or creativity that you want to get out. I would recommend you explore that and you start to monetize what's in your brain. Because look at these institutions, these colleges, these educational preparatory schools, like they're out here just educating and aggregating information from people who've studied and researched and all these great things. Why can't that be you? That's the new wave heading into, like 2025 and beyond. And I would hate for you to be left behind. So hopefully this was food for thought. But really start with what you're good at and start from there. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Nobody becomes a master overnight, but you do become a master eventually when you put enough time in. So you might as well start today. So go get paid to yap. I've been doing it for years and years and years. And I'm never going to stop because I know that people just like you need to hear it. And I need to hear it my damn self sometimes. So that's what I got for you guys. If you love this video, definitely hit subscribe. Give me a like as well. And tell me down below, what are you going to do? You're going to be a media company. You're going to be a coach. You're going to be a consultant. You're going to be sell digital products. I would love to know below. And I hope you found this video helpful and I'll see you in the next one. Go get yapping.